Why are you punching? Why are you punching? Why?
A few days ago, a confrontation occurred between the Metropolitan Police and pro-Palestinian protesters in East London. The conflict became heated, highlighting ongoing tensions surrounding demonstrations in support of Palestinian rights. The confrontation began when the police noticed protesters carrying a box containing protest materials, including flags and placards. The protesters intended to hang Palestinian flags as a symbol of their solidarity with the Palestinian people. However, the police opposed this action, believing it could lead to potential disruptions. The exact reasoning behind the police's request is not entirely clear, but it may have involved concerns about public order or specific regulations about flag displays.
Tens of thousands marched through London. This, the first large-scale pro-Palestinian demonstration since ugly scenes in the capital on Armistice Day. Leaflets handed out by police warned anyone inciting hatred would be arrested. Along the route, police from forces around the country had been brought in to support the Met.
Well, they're doing their job and we're doing our job. It's not a hate march because you can see it's really peaceful.
Nothing's going to happen. Everything's fine. It's peaceful.
But away from the main march, a separate, much smaller protest organised by Hizb ut-Tahrir, the same group that held a demo last month where the word jihad was chanted. There were tears for Palestinian children, but police on alert. 2 women were pulled over by officers and asked to translate their banners.
The best translation would be, who will roll up the sleeves for heaven?
But without an independent interpreter on the ground, police asked the women to wait. This is an example of the difficult balancing act police have, allowing free speech, but not allowing anything that incites hatred or promotes terrorism. After several minutes of confusion, they arrested them.
You're under arrest on suspicion in Section 4A Section 4A aggravated public order.
How can you arrest us for
You're not
something you
saying
don't know what
anything,
it
but it may
means,
harm the
though?
defence.
They were taken to a police station for questioning. Back on the main march, demonstrators said protests will continue until there's a permanent ceasefire, not just a temporary halt to the fighting.
It's a pause, it's not a ceasefire. We want Israel to stop bombing Gaza. That's why we're out. We want peace, that's what we're out for.
And organisers defended the rights of the protesters.
We have very clear laws that define what is and what is not acceptable. The police's job is to implement those laws. They have been policing these marches. They have had to arrest a handful of people. We know they're under huge political pressure, including people who are trying to conflate anti-Semitism with legitimate advocacy for Palestinian rights.
But those suspected of crossing a line were taken away by officers. Proactive policing after criticism by some of too little intervention at previous protests. And at the end, a small group causing trouble faced a robust response. Becky Johnson, Sky News, Central London.
The request to remove the flags was met with resistance from the protesters, who saw it as an infringement on their right to free expression. They argued that the flags were a vital symbol of their identity and support for Palestinian rights. The situation quickly escalated into a standoff, with neither side willing to back down. As tensions rose, the situation deteriorated into a physical clash. Reports indicate that there was shoving, shouting, and possibly the use of crowd control measures by the police. Videos shared on social media showed snippets of the confrontation, with protesters accusing the police of heavy-handed tactics.
Stay back! We are back! Stay back! Stay back! Telling you, stay back! Stay back! push me! Don't push me! Don't push me! Don't push me! Stay back! Stay back!
People what you stand for. You are being used. How can you say that? A mob of 100,000.
Following the incident, pro-Palestinian activists took to social media to voice their outrage. They condemned the police's actions and accused them of disrespecting their right to peaceful assembly. In response to the events, protesters announced plans for a larger demonstration to protest against the police's actions.
And we begin here at 5 with more details from last night's intense city council meeting. A pro-Palestinian protester was arrested for making threats toward elected officials. 17's Michaela Armstrong has the details. Michaela.
Rob, things have escalated to new levels with both sides of the issue condemning the behavior of this Bakersfield woman. For weeks, city council meetings have been filled with tension as pro-Palestinian protesters urge city council members to pass a ceasefire resolution for the Israel-Hamas war. But Wednesday, it reached a boiling point.
And I hope one day somebody brings the guillotine and kills all of you mother.
That was a threat, what you said at the end, and so the officers are going to escort you out and take care of that.
After those words, 28-year-old Riddhi Patel was escorted out of the meeting and arrested by police. Councilman and Vice Mayor Andre Gonzalez says things have gone too far.
And to have that type of a threat in that type of public setting is completely inappropriate, unproductive, and it's deeply concerning.
Last month, the city increased security measures at meetings, leaving many questioning the timing, including Patel.
You guys want to criminalize us with metal detectors? We'll see you at your house. We'll murder you.
Gonzalez says her threats prove the measures are needed now more than ever.
Personally, I think it's warranted. The city can't function, City Hall and City Council cannot function during a public council meeting if we're continuously being disrupted.
Patel was arrested on 8 felony counts of threatening with intent to terrorize and bail set at $1 million. Gonzalez says threats will not make the council move towards a resolution.
Sit at the table like adults and exchange ideas and go back and forth and really try to figure out how we can find a path together. But it's not making real threats, violent threats to elected officials, to decision makers. That is not the way to influence others. Nobody on the City Council will be intimidated to action.
Pro-Palestinian group, the United Liberation Front, said in a statement it, quote, condemns any statements that threaten public officials and that the statements by Patel, quote, counter to our values and do not represent United Liberation Front. 17 News reached out to Mayor Karen Go for comment. She declined and said, since the incident is under investigation, it's not appropriate for me to offer comments. Michaela Armstrong, 17 News.
The Metropolitan Police are expected to release a statement addressing the incident. They will likely explain their rationale for requesting the removal of the flags and provide details about their response to the escalating situation. It is important to wait for their official stance before drawing definitive conclusions. The East London clash raises several important questions. Was the police request to remove the flags proportionate to the potential risk of disruption? Did the protesters have a designated route that restricted flag displays? And if they were, how can the balance be maintained between ensuring public order and respecting the right to free expression? The incident in East London highlights the ongoing tensions surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Emotions run high on both sides, making peaceful dialogue and resolution even more crucial. The right to peaceful protest is a cornerstone of any democracy, and open communication between authorities and communities is essential to ensure that such protests remain peaceful and productive.
There were insults exchanged and plenty of noise. But the pro-Palestine march in London passed relatively peacefully.
See how quickly they're moving? Yeah, see how quickly they're moving?
Here, as marchers were confronted by a pro-Israel rally, the masked man was arrested on suspicion of a racially aggravated crime, causing harassment, alarm or distress to the counter-protesters. This placard, specifically the Nazi symbol, prompted a second arrest. It was the 13th such march through central London. According to Jewish leaders, each one stokes fear in their communities.
There are so many protests happening on a regular basis that I feel this kind of tension in the air.
My mum is 85 years old and she's petrified. As young or relatively young people, I feel we need to make our presence felt, and we have the right to be on the streets of London.
I'm not frightened at all. Why should I be frightened in my own city? I was born here. Why should I be frightened? They're not going to make me afraid.
Police estimated the marchers at around 10,000. Again, their call was for a ceasefire in the Hamas-Israel conflict and an end to UK arms sales to Israel. Protesters insisted there was no intention to intimidate Jews in the capital.
I march with lots of Jewish people who are here today, and they are clearly not intimidated in any way. So, yeah, I find it hard to understand.
I feel like we're marching for peace here. We're asking, to stop the violence, to stop the massacres, to stop the genocide. So I wouldn't see any reason why they'd fear that. It's not a religious thing for us here.
In the days before the march, police met Jewish leaders.
One of the main concerns of Jewish community leaders is that these marches have become too frequent. Protesters, they argue, have already made their point. The organisers insist they haven't yet achieved their aims, and the marches will continue.
In the police command centre, relief at a largely trouble-free march, but counting the cost of another major operation.
The total cost, we would say, is somewhere in the region of £38 million. So it's enormously significant. But the Met is a resilient organisation. We know the challenges, and we know that people have a right to protest and to counter-protest, and we will continue to provide an effective policing response to keep people safe.
A planned protest by the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism was cancelled the day before. Organisers said they had no guarantee of the safety of Jewish people. Martin Brunt, Sky News, Central London.
Productive discourse on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is necessary for progress. All parties involved need to engage in dialogue that acknowledges the suffering on both sides and works towards a lasting solution. The events in East London serve as a stark reminder of the complexities of this conflict and the need for all parties to strive towards peace.
We'll talk about the protest camp in Oxford University. See all these tents being pitched around colleges all over Britain, all over America. But Oxford University's passionate pro-Palestine protesters have packed up for the summer. I guess peace in Gaza can wait while the students head home for their holidays. It's pathetic, isn't it? There was a sort of legal threat from the college saying unless you pack up, there'll be trouble. But they had said resistance by any means necessary, that they would carry on and resist all efforts to stop their protest. But come the summer holidays, they got to head home to their parents' mansions and off on their holidays in Greece and the south of France. It really is a bit pathetic. Let's talk to the chair of the National Jewish Assembly, Gary Mond. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you for having me.
What I think about this is that these students, and they're not all students, some of them are professional protesters, but they love to signal their virtue somehow or other. To be pro-Palestine is to be virtuous and wonderful. Look at us, we've pitched these tents, we will not be moved, and we will not leave until there is peace in Gaza. Oh, wait a minute, it's the summer holidays, we're off. We pack up the tent. So this little spate of virtue signalling is taking second place to going off to the Riviera or Greece. These people, they don't really care. They just care about showing their idea of what they think is virtuous, isn't it?
Well, starting from first principles, I don't think students should be demonstrating at all.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
They're heavily subsidised by the government. I appreciate they contribute £9,000 plus a year, but they're heavily subsidised by the government for their degrees. They should be there studying and trying to do as well as they can. And by the way, there are far too many universities and too many students in any event, because so many of them get degrees that don't help them in the workplace. But getting to the point about peace in Gaza, there's a simple way for there to be peace in Gaza. That is for Hamas to give up the hostages and to surrender. We have to understand that every single death in Gaza, be it a man, a woman, a child, is the responsibility of Hamas for what it did on the 7th of October. They are responsible for all the deaths in Gaza.
You never see these protesters talking about this. Down at the Glastonbury Festival, all these pro-Palestinian flags. Didn't see any, Stars of David flags in support of the hostages. It is so. I guess that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Gary. This strange idea that to be pro-Palestine, to essentially stick up for those murdering thugs of Hamas, is seen by particularly young people to be the right thing to do. To hate Israel is to signal your wonderfulness. What is that all about?
It's all about a development that's taken place in the last 20 to 25 years, where young people have become generally very hostile to anything that seems to be supporting the West, and Israel is top of the list. And this has led firstly to hatred of Israel, and sadly it's moved on to hatred of Jews. That's what it's all about. And unfortunately, the government, past government, has been doing nothing about it, in my opinion. They need to stop these marches, for starters.
There's some funny comments about this camp being packed up on social media. One said, resistance by any means necessary, excluding school holidays. And revolution postpones summer holidays in Tuscany and the Dordogne beckon. I mean, this is what this is all about. They're taking the summer off, having spent the last 3 months, not, as you quite rightly say, Gary, not doing their studies, just showing us how wonderful they are through the prism of anti-Semitic hatred of Israel.
I actually think it would be best if they went to Gaza to spend their summer holidays. I think they might learn something, particularly those who are gays and lesbians. They might not come back alive.
Yeah, we had some footage, but we thought it was too pathetic to show. It is, of course, from the most ludicrous organisation known to man, Queers for Palestine, gay people who passionately support the Palestinian cause, apparently unaware that if they went to Gaza, they'd probably chuck them off a multi-storey car park, or under the laws of that land, imprison them for 10 years.
The confrontation between UK police and pro-Palestinian protesters in East London underscores the challenges of managing public demonstrations on contentious issues. As the legal and political ramifications unfold, it is crucial to consider the perspectives of both the protesters and the police. Ensuring the right to peaceful protest while maintaining public order requires careful balance and mutual understanding.
Whereas if they went to Israel, they would be perfectly free to be gay because homosexuality is tolerated in Israel. In fact, it's embraced, whereas in Palestine, it's illegal.
Well, that's right. In Israel, they would also be able to participate in one of the numerous pride demonstrations that take place regularly across the country. It's not just Palestine or the Palestinian territories, as it may be referred to. It's also elsewhere in the Arab world, particularly in Iran. Well, Iran is a Muslim country. And there, I remember one of the previous Iranian presidents, Ahmadinejad, said there is nobody in Iran who is homosexual.
Wow, you can't argue with that. That's a bit like Queen Victoria saying there's no such thing as lesbians, isn't it? A kind of denial of the truth.
Exactly. So it isn't just Gaza and Judea and Samaria and the Palestinian areas they're in. It is a much broader concept, I'm afraid, across the Muslim world.
Gary, this was sort of fairly a light-hearted piece about kind of essentially a serious subject. If you're around next week, I wouldn't mind getting you on to talk about what looks to be a nascent conflict perhaps in the north, Israel perhaps going against Hezbollah. Just quickly, where do we stand with that?
There's a lot of talk of it all being delayed. This is my personal opinion, I think that Israel is going to wait for the Trump presidency. Yeah. I think that it's too much to handle with Gaza at the moment. It's got what it perceives to be a hostile White House with Biden there. I think the smart money is on Donald Trump being the next president, who's going to take a somewhat different attitude to the whole matter. And I think you might see things flare up in the north in early 2025. Yes,
President Trump genuinely stands with Israel, and so do many of us, Gary. Great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Gary Mond there, Chair of the National Jewish Assembly.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and for more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel.